Let's bring Bob Weeks into the conversation now. And Bob, first of all, great interview there with Myles Creighton. He seems like a really poised guy, and what a wild way to win on the Korn Ferry Tour. I know you touched on it in the interview, but an ace of 59. The guy almost misses the cut, and now he's a winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. Just incredible.
Yeah, and it's nice to see a guy like that who's put in a lot of hard work, put in a lot of time in the minor leagues, still going after it, and now starting to sort of realize his dream. I think, he climbs up into the top 20, as he sort of mentioned in that interview, and I think with some good finishes now, he got a really good shot at making it to the PGA Tour, which of course has been his dream. And there haven't been, and I was trying to think of this the other day, an Atlantic Canadian who's played on the PGA Tour. And I remember Gordy Smith from Nova Scotia, who's now the GM. Anyway, there's there's Courtney Smith is the only guy I know who played a little bit on the PGA Tour. So there's not too many out there. So it's a great achievement for him, and he's a great young fella, great player. As you saw in that interview, just a great disposition on where he is. And he said one of the keys before we did the interview, one of the keys was his putting, where he'd been lifting his head a lot when he was putting, and now he seems to have found a cure for that. And boy, what a week.
It certainly was. You know, Bob, it's so interesting, right? It's almost like we're a broken record here on Golf Talk Canada, but in a good way, because here we are, another week, and we're recapping another great Canadian performance, this time a W by Myles Creighton. And Bob, I'm sure there were years where you were covering golf where it'd be hard to find a top 10 by a Canadian once a month, that sort of thing. Just how incredible is it for you to cover a sport with so many Canadians playing well?
Once a month, boy, we had times when there were no Canadians even playing on the PGA Tour some years out there, or if they did, they had limited status. Yeah, it's great. It's nice to be busy at our end, Adam. It's nice to have these stories to talk about, to tell people about, to cover. It's nice to see a new wave of young players, especially we've been talking about how good the young women coming up are in their late college days and then onto the Epson Tour and things like that. But now we're starting to see it again from the men's side as well. As you mentioned, Shadarshan Yelamaraju, who won, Myles Creighton, who won. You've got a bunch of other young players who look like they can make the jump to the PGA Tour, which is getting more and more difficult, by the way, with the limited number of places to play on certain tournaments. So it's a good feeling, and Canadians should be happy. And I think you give a lot of credit to a lot of different areas, but certainly the Golf Canada's national team program has really started to pay dividends. We'll see if they get to their goal of having all those players on both the LPGA and PGA tours. But even if they're close, it's nice to be able to have someone to root for every week.
And with the win, Myles Creighton moves to 16th in the Korn Ferry Tour standings.